106.7 Lights FM.
106.7 Light FM, Cubby and Christine, and we have fangirl Christine actually here today.
We do.
We interview a lot of big people,
Yes.
right? But she is, go ahead.
Well, because Audra McDonald is somebody that I've admired for years, and
Thank you.
I know you're too young to be called this, but you are. You're a legend. I believe you're a legend. You're a 6-time Tony winner. If you need some proof behind my words, but you're just incredible. It's such
Thank
a pleasure
you.
to meet you, and thank you for coming up here. Audra McDonald, who, by the way, is in Frankie and Johnny on Broadway. I
And
should
you
do
just
like
saw
a
it.
proper interview and introduction. Yes, I just saw it on Sunday before you were at the Tonys.
Yes. The Tony Day is a long day for Broadway performers.
Kind of thinking that because I just
Yeah.
saw you on stage, and then boom, I guess the glam squad showed up, right?
Yeah, you do rehearsal at the Tonys in the morning, then you do your matinee, and then you do the glam squad, and then you run and sit down, and then it's a
massively
long day.
long day. And as you saw, Cubby, Audra had a little issue with Laura Linney.
I love that little fight. Oh my God, that was so funny. And that was some good acting right there.
Oh my
That
gosh! Here's
was-
the thing: Laura Linney and I have known I've known her longer than I've known almost anyone in New York because we went to school together at Juilliard. So I've known her since 1988. And one of the best reviews I got is someone added me at Twitter and said, "The two of you should be disqualified, never allowed to be at the Tonys again." I was like, "Okay, that's a great review. That means they absolutely believed it."
You just keep taking them home.
Christine brought up the word legend, and even the New York Times, they said Audra is probably the most talented person on the planet. When you hear things like that, I mean, how do you take that in?
I don't take it in. I've got kids at home who couldn't be less impressed with me, and that's where your life is. That's where my real life lives. So,
Right.
I'm mom who has a night job.
But you give so much. I mean, you always do, I'm sure, to all your roles. But I feel like this in particular, Frankie and Johnny being such a vulnerable, intimate story.
Yeah.
And most vulnerable moments of someone's.
Yes, it's it's a story of a short order cook and a waitress who work in a diner, and they're both in they're in their 40s.
Hell's Kitchen, right? Like old
Hell's
New
Kitchen,
York.
old New York in the
80s,
1980s. Yeah, and very lonely. Both of them have basically PTSD from former relationships, and the short order cook, Johnny, played by the incredible Michael Shannon, very much wants this one night stand. They go on one date, one night stand, and he wants it to turn into like the rest of their lives. And Frankie, the character I play, the waitress, is someone who is so shut down from having just been hurt so much in life that she's just trying to get him out of her apartment,
Right.
and doesn't want to pursue this at all past a one night stand. And the whole play takes place in that one night about how they negotiate these two different wants, and they find out in the end that they have the same one, is they just don't want to be alone anymore.
Right. So you feel that connection is going to be long lasting for Frankie and Johnny?
I think that's the wonderful sort of ambiguous ending that Terrence McNally gives us, the incredible playwright Terrence McNally who wrote this, is that you think, well, they're maybe going to make it at least till the next morning,
Right.
and we should maybe check in on them again in the morning to see how they did, but it leaves you with just a little bit of hope that at least there is a mutual agreement to take the next step, which is let's at least sit here together for a few more hours.
Right.
You have no idea what happens after.
Everybody talks about the opening scene, which over and over again, every review talks about the nudity in the beginning and all that.
Yes, Terrence McNally has said within the script, and this originally was off Broadway with Kathy Bates and F. Murray Abrams in 1987. They're the original two actors that played these parts, and it says in the script, it's a when the lights come up, or you don't even really, the lights don't come up that much, but they are absolutely nude. And you hear the sounds of, very graphic sex going on. And it's not gratuitous. It's very important, because what you think is like the most intimate act that two people can have, which is having sex, which is how the show opens, is the least intimate thing that happens between the two of them throughout the night. And at their most intimate, with each other and they're most connected to each other is at the very end of the show, where they're both fully clothed, just sitting there brushing their teeth. So I mean, it's daunting as an actor.
Yes,
to-
I was going to ask if did it give you pause? Was there a moment where,
yes. I mean, I don't lie about my age. I'm going to be 49 in a couple weeks.
July 3rd.
Yeah, no, thank you
I
for
was
knowing
looking it up.
that.
Did
Oh,
some
my
research.
goodness,
All
thank
right.
you.
I was wondering if you were a Gemini. I'm June
birthday.
1st. but
Oh, you're June 1st.
anyway.
No, I'm a Cancerian.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, through and through. But I just had a baby 2 years ago, and so when they're like, you're gonna have to be nude in this, I thought, oh. But it's necessary, and these are not supposed to be two supermodels. These are two people, actually and part of the play, they lie to each other about their ages, and they have to keep fessing up as to how old they actually are.
Well, Christine, you saw it. What was your
Yes.
reaction when you saw that opening scene as a fan?
I've seen the show, so I was really familiar with the play. So I knew, but I wasn't sure if it had to be that way. Like if you were a director was going to make the choice to go that direction. But now that you're saying Terrence McNally wrote it, like,
It says, the scene, it says, the two lovers in the throes of making love. I'm paraphrasing. It's early paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But he also says, it must be the real thing. It must be graphic. And the precedent has been that they are nude.
I saw it years ago. It was Stanley Tucci.
Oh yeah, and Edie Falco. Yeah, they did it about 17 years ago.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes.
So I had seen it then.
Yes.
So I was prepared for that going in, and I think it's just what Audra's saying. I think as vulnerable and intimate as that sounds, it's the journey that they take afterwards, where your heart's kind of like, almost like I want to protect you. And,
Yes, yeah, she's really scarred, and,
Yeah.
and literally and figuratively, she's very, very scarred person. And so, as soon as the sex is over, she puts on, a figurative chainmail, and just is like, "All right, this is my
Bye-bye.
armor. Get out."
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And he
Yes.
won't go because, he wants to give this a chance.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon is just,
Oh, he's spectacular.
Yeah.
He's an amazing actor, and
And you feel comfortable. I saw an interview with you, Sandy
Yes.
Kenyon.
yes,
And
absolutely, yeah. You have to trust your partner.
what would you have done if it wasn't
Right.
comfortable? Would you say something to the director?
Well, the wonderful thing about this situation is I think this is the first time they've ever used an intimacy director on Broadway. And so we not only had our director, the great Erin Arbus, fantastic female director. We need more female directors up there. But they hired an intimacy director, a wonderful woman named Claire, who her job was to choreograph the love scenes and be our advocate. We each sat down with her separately, Mike did and I did, to talk about what we were comfortable with, what we were not comfortable with. And then we all sat down as a group, the director, the intimacy director, me and Mike. And the four of us sort of, choreographed all of it. And that way we knew what the boundaries were.
Right.
We knew, you can't touch here, you can touch here. And then Claire and the director, and then our wonderful lighting director, Natasha Katz, then sat down and lit it together as well so that we could feel as comfortable as possible. So it's a very, very choreographed, safe space, which is, it protects not only me, that protects Michael as well. And that's what's most important, especially in this age of Me Too. You want to make sure that everybody is on the same page
Absolutely.
and comfortable and safe, and that there's communication going on. And the director still checks in with us, and the intimacy director still checks in with us on a weekly basis to say, how is everything going? Everybody good? Everybody comfortable? If not, let's sit down and talk.
I don't think
Oh,
most people know how much goes on just for that one scene.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
There's a lot going on
I'm
here.
glad to
lot.
know that everybody's so protected, though.
Very
Yeah.
protected,
You know.
very protected.
And
Yeah.
did you know it was going to be Michael Shannon going into
Yes,
the project?
yes,
Okay.
I did, which is one of the reasons I jumped at it. I've always been a huge fan of his work. He's an incredible actor, and I like to say every night when I walk on stage, when he walks in the one door and I walk in the other door, it feels like I'm getting into a ring with Ali, or getting onto a tennis court with Serena Williams or Rafa or somebody
yeah.
like that. It's going to be. He pushes me to be at the top of my game because he's so brilliant. That I have no choice. Otherwise, I won't survive it
Oh,
up
you
there. Yeah.
completely match. You volley back and forth.
It's
both-
really
yeah.
fulfilling. I have to say,
Yeah.
it's very fulfilling.
Both so authentic and wonderful. And also, I had a great experience. I got to see you in London. as Billie Holiday.
Oh,
in
and Lady Day. Oh, you were
yes,
over there.
I was there, and I was on the stage.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
Oh.
it was set up. That was is it the Emerson
at the Emerson's Bar and Grill, which
right.
is this old. It doesn't exist anymore. It was a bar and grill in Philadelphia. Yeah, and so we have tables on the stage. You were in one of the tables. Did I ask you to light my cigarette or something?
No, I wish you did.
Yeah.
Do it now.
You did. I know, but I was just. It was like honestly, it was like a dream come true for me to see you working. Be that up close and personal and.
With that show, it's interesting. With this show, with Frankie and Johnny, it's very much a situation where you feel like, as the actors on stage, the audience is not a part of our show. Where we sort of shut the door on the audience, and what our hope is that the audience feels like they have peered in a peephole into something that's happening that they're not supposed to be witnessing, but they're witnessing, like they're a fly on the wall. But with Lady Day, with Billie Holiday, the audience is actually a character in the show. Mm-hmm. She has to speak to the audience. The audience is there. It's not like we're ignoring that there's no fourth wall. They are there. And so every night was very different because it just depended on who we had in the seats. I mean, one night we had a couple of people that didn't speak English that had no idea what they were getting into, so they were trying to have their own conversation while the show was going on, thinking they were just going to some jazz club.
Right.
And I had to tell them a couple of times, is there something you need to say? If not, you need to be quiet.
I love it. And I was with my friend. This was in London. Her name is Susie Kennedy, and she's a Marilyn Monroe impersonator.
Oh,
she's like one of
wow.
the top ones, and she's working. So it was kind of hard for us she looks like Marilyn all the time. So I almost felt like I wanted to be incognito on the stage, and it is all about you. And I know the focus was all on you, but I thought, are you going to notice her?
I noticed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and Billie would have noticed that too. And Marilyn maybe would have gone to a Billie Holiday concert. She was a big fan of Ella Fitzgerald and other people, so maybe she would have been there.
And it's got to be impossible. But is there a favorite that you have? Is playing Billie Holiday your favorite role ever? Or
I look at all my roles as like my children. You love them deeply for different reasons, for when they were in my life, what they taught me, what they represented, the things that I figured out as an actor. So I can't say that I have one that's a favorite, and they're all equally difficult in different ways, just like your children can be too.
That's a good analogy, though.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite. But if I were to say what's been the hardest, I would say Frankie and Johnny, believe it or not. A two-hander is very difficult, in some ways more difficult than when it's just you. Billie Holiday is just a one-woman show. Yeah. But I think with Frankie and Johnny, it's for some reason, I'm finding this one a little, probably the most difficult.
Well, what happens after August 25th? I mean, it's a limited engagement.
Yes.
I mean, what else is on your plate?
Well, I go back to shooting. It'll be our 1, 2, 3. It'll be the 4th season of The Good Fight that I do with the Good Wife spinoff starring Christine Baranski. So we'll be starting our 4th season. So I go back to shooting that. But right before that, we close on August 25th because I have a stepson and my daughter who are both 18. So we've got 2 kids to take off to college.
Oh, you've got that.
And a 2-year-old at home.
And a 2-year-old. And when a show closes, do you tend to get the blues? Do you get sad afterwards?
No.
That's good.
You're probably relieved.
Yeah,
right?
it's an exhausting schedule. So I'm not sad. I hold on to the role in my heart and to the experience in my heart. But and then as an actor, months later you go, oh, I should have done that, or I should have done that. Maybe revisit it someday. But it's always about moving forward. Mm-hmm. But I'm sad about my daughter going off to college, although it's time.
What college? Can you mention the college?
Yeah, she's going to Brown.
Oh, wow. Wow, good for her.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, can I talk about one of your tweets real quick?
Uh-oh.
3 days ago,
what
Audra tweeted, "Why do I feel hungover this morning when all I ate last night was Honey Nut Cheerios and almond milk?"
You want to know why? And was
that after the Tonys?
It was after the Tonys, but my daughter, the night of the Tonys was the night of my daughter's prom. So my daughter went to the prom, and then I went to the Tonys, and then afterwards she wanted to have the prom after party at our apartment. Which as a mom, you don't want to say no to that because at least you know where your kid is,
Controlled
so
environment.
I said yes. So after the Tonys, I rushed home, and then 20 to 25, 18-year-olds, came over to the house and were there, spent the night, and were up until they wanted to watch the sun come up. So,
my gosh.
Oh no!
They were adorable and so sweet, but so loud. And so I just sat up in my room eating, my Honey Nut Cheerios and almond milk. And so the next morning I did feel like I was hungover, but then I just read the news that there's possibly Roundup in Cheerios.
Oh my gosh, I heard that too.
So now
Yeah.
I'm like, well, now I know I felt like that. And what is my life? What is all of our lives anyway?
Hang in there till August 25th.
Yeah.
Right, so Cubby can get in to see the show.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll see the
we have
show.
to have
please
Exactly.
come.
priorities.
Please come and see it. Yeah.
It's at the Broadhurst Theater.
Yep.
So Audra McDonald's it's just such a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
And
Nice
thank
to speak
you
with
again.
both
Thank you,
of
Audra. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Take care.